The association between Nietzsche and Nazism is one of the greatest intellectual slanders in history. Hitler quoted Nietzsche. The Nazis distributed his books. His concepts of the Übermensch and the will to power were twisted into Nazi ideology. But here's the truth. Nietzsche died in 1900, 33 years before Hitler came to power. He never met a Nazi. He never heard of the Third Reich. And everything the Nazis believed, Nietzsche had already condemned. The connection between them is not philosophy. It is theft. How did this happen? The answer is a woman named Elisabeth Forster Nietzsche, Friedrich's sister, a virulent anti-Semite and German nationalist. When Nietzsche collapsed into mental illness in 1889, Elisabeth took control of his estate. She edited his unpublished writings. She forged letters. She selectively published fragments to make her brother seem like a proto-Nazi. She even dressed his corpse in a Nazi flag when she met Hitler in 1935. The Nietzsche the world came to know was Elisabeth's creation, not Friedrich's. Nietzsche actually despised German nationalism. He called the German Reich the death of German philosophy. He renounced his Prussian citizenship and became stateless. He wrote that the state is the coldest of all cold monsters and that nationalism is the disease of the modern soul. Hitler built his entire ideology around German supremacy. Nietzsche believed national identity was a prison for the spirit. The man who wrote that we should be good Europeans, not good Germans, would have spat on the Nuremberg rallies. Nietzsche broke with Richard Wagner over anti-Semitism. Wagner was Nietzsche's idol and mentor. But when Wagner embraced German nationalism and Jew hatred, Nietzsche walked away. He wrote that anti-Semites were the most repulsive specimens of humanity. He said he would have all anti-Semites shot. This is not a man who would have supported the final solution. Nietzsche did not just disagree with anti-Semitism. He was disgusted by it. He saw it as a sign of weakness and resentment. Slave morality in its purest form. What about the Übermensch? The Nazis twisted this into the concept of the Aryan master race. But Nietzsche's Übermensch has nothing to do with race. It is an individual ideal, a state of being. The person who creates their own values rather than inheriting them, who overcomes themselves rather than dominating others. The Übermensch is not a blonde conqueror. It is a spiritual condition. Nietzsche explicitly said that race is a fraud and that there is no such thing as pure blood. The Nazis ignored every word of this. The will to power was similarly corrupted. The Nazis made it about military conquest and racial domination. But for Nietzsche, the will to power is an internal force. It is the drive to overcome yourself, to create, to grow, not to subjugate others. In fact, Nietzsche saw the desire to dominate others as a sign of weakness. The truly powerful do not need to prove their power over anyone else. Hitler's entire project was proving power over others. By Nietzsche's own definition, Hitler was weak. Nietzsche was also no friend of the masses. But his critique of the herd was not a call for dictatorship. It was a warning about conformity and the death of the individual. Hitler turned the herd into a weapon. He mobilized mass conformity toward genocide. Nietzsche wanted people to break free of the herd. Hitler wanted to lead it. These are opposite projects. Nietzsche's vision was of free individuals creating meaning. Hitler's was of a mindless mass following orders. One is liberation. The other is slavery. Why does the association persist? Because it is convenient. It lets people dismiss Nietzsche without reading him. It lets his critics say, look what his ideas led to. But ideas do not cause historical events in a straight line. People cause them. Elisabeth Forster Nietzsche caused the distortion. The Nazis caused the appropriation. And lazy readers caused the perpetuation. Nietzsche wrote that he was dynamite. He meant his ideas would shatter old values. He never meant they would be used to justify mass murder. What would Nietzsche have thought of Hitler? We do not need to guess. He told us what he thought of men like him. He despised demagogues. He despised those who appealed to resentment and hatred. He despised those who blamed others for their problems. Hitler was the embodiment of slave morality, a weak man who built power by channeling the resentment of the masses. He promised revenge dressed as destiny. Nietzsche said that the last man, not the overman, was the real danger. Hitler was the last man made flesh. The lesson here is bigger than Nietzsche and Hitler. It is about how ideas are stolen, twisted, and used to justify evil. The Nazis did not create their ideology from nothing. They looted it from wherever they could find it. Nietzsche, Wagner, Darwin, pagan mythology. They took fragments and welded them into a monstrous whole. Blaming Nietzsche for Hitler is like blaming the inventor of the knife for the stabbing. Tools can be misused. Ideas can be corrupted. The fault lies with the user, not the tool.